Okay. Um, this is my home studio project. As you can see by my name and by my bland choice of colors for this project. So starting off, I have my preferred room layout. Now, obviously, this is in my bedroom, so I can't, you know, uh, layer everything in my room based around, at the moment, based around uh, how I would prefer my studio to work, to look, and function. But the preferred room layout would be that since my northern wall is 15 feet and my western wall is 18 feet, I would have the desk centered 5.7 feet from the northern wall and 18, or I'm sorry, 6.8 feet from the western wall, which would be roughly actually about here in the picture. I went ahead and put it right in the middle, just so that it sort of draws the eye. Um, but yes, that is how I would, put it just about in this corner. Um, so for what I actually do have, I have a source component which is Ableton Live 9. Um, as you can see, that's how I manipulate my sound in my data. That's how I play back most of everything. That's how I'm actually playing back this microphone right now. I'm using it through Ableton. I'm just using QuickTime's screen record. Um, so I also have my source or my control components here, which I use an Apogee Duet. It's a small little interface that you know um, it's fairly nice, I think. Um, it's how I control some of the levels. Unfortunately, the it doesn't have a fader. It has a knob, so when you adjust the volume, it sort of you can hear the click, as it clicks up in volume. Not an audible click, but you can sort of hear it bumping itself up in volume, which is unfortunately a shame. Um, so this is where my desk is. It's basically where my playback components are, which are two Rocket 6 speakers. Um, as you can see, unfortunately, it's in the corner of my room, which, you know, from the diagram, you can see it would be about here. It kind of, sound kind of goes out this way, and unfortunately, sort of gets a bad phase as it starts to move towards back from this corner towards my desk. But yeah, that's basically, you know, that I have a TV here because I'm like 90% blind, like legally. So I it's like super hard to see on a tiny screen sometimes. Um, mm, excuse me. So this is basically where some of my input components are. Um, yeah, so basically like a MIDI controller, like a guitar, acoustic electric. This is actually a Rocksmith guitar um, that I've always kind of wanted to play live. I've got an AKJ or AKG C1000, an NTK. It's nothing too important. Um, so for my current acoustic treatment, um, it's really just my bed, which is sort of somewhere in front of my desk. It blocks, you know, some of the signals from hitting the wall, which I haven't had too much of a problem with. It actually kind of isolates this little behind here where my piano is. It's like in between this spot. Um, it's not the best, but it certainly works somewhat for a student, non-professional studio. I would prefer it if the preferred studio would be um, my old closet, which doesn't actually house anything, which would work as a perfect isolation booth. Uh, Getting some acoustic padding. Um, I wish I had a photo of it, but unfortunately my closet's full of like old toys, kids' toys and like sleeping bags, and that all can go. But um, that would be the preferred layout of it. In terms of upgrades, honestly, I would prefer, just to move this out of the corner. Um, I guess the best would be to move into the closet, because then I could sort of, it's a fairly big closet, so I can place things where I'd like them to go, spatially, as opposed to not being restricted by things like my bed and my, you know, uh, the like sort of general direction people like to walk in when they enter my room, um, which would be interrupted by a studio in the middle. So my right now I use my studio for, it's basically just for education. That's where I study. That's where I listen to most of my music. Unfortunately, I'm not in a position to record anybody else. I mean, I do record myself from time to time, but I'm not in a position to record anyone else. It's kind of a small area. Um, I mean, my bed's basically a couch, so I guess if I wanted to, I could record, you know, someone else from my bed. Um, but at the moment, uh, that's what I use my studio for. Um, so yeah, that's my it's my home studio project.